We spoke earlier with House Speaker Mike Johnson, and we began by asking him whether Congress will approve more disaster funding for hurricane victims. You have visited some of these disaster zones yourself, and Punchbowl News quotes you as saying that Congress may eventually have to pass an aid package that could reach as high as $100 billion. Last Sunday on this program, Tom Tillis, the senator from North Carolina, said to us he'd like for Congress to provide some certainty by voting now on aid and then come back after the election to do more. Lawmakers aren't scheduled to come back for another month. Why do you think it can wait?
Well, it can wait because remember the day before Hurricane Helene made landfall in Florida and then went up through the states and wound up in Senator Tillis's state of North Carolina. Congress appropriated $20 billion additional dollars to FEMA so that they would have the necessary resources to address immediate needs. And so we put that into the coffers. I just checked, Margaret, as of this morning, less than 2% of that funding has actually been distributed, right around 2% of it. So we need FEMA to do its job. Those funds, that money, is provided so that storm victims can have the immediate necessities met. And then what happens after every storm is that the states have to assess and calculate the actual needs, and then they submit to Congress that request. As soon as that is done, Congress will meet, and in bipartisan fashion, we will address those needs. We'll provide the additional resources, but it would be premature to call everyone back now because these storms are so large in their scope and magnitude, it's going to take a little bit of time to make those calculations.
Well, the FEMA director says there's only $11 billion left from that $20 billion that was allocated. So that's a different accounting than this 2% you say was distributed.
Yeah, so they've obligated some funds, but they've only distributed 2%. The rescue and recovery effort's still going on, and then we address the rest of it. But FEMA was slow to respond. They did not do the job that we all expect and hope that they will do. And there's going to be a lot of assessment about that as well in the days ahead.
But hurricane season, as you know, lasts through the end of November. You're from Louisiana. You've dealt with this before. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is forecasting this could be one of the busiest seasons on record. So why not get ahead of this? Isn't it a bit of a gamble to wait?
No, it's not. Margaret, as I just said, Congress can't meet and just send money on a guess or an estimate of what the damages are. The way supplemental disaster funding is provided is that, the states send in actual needs. It's assessed by Congress and then handed out that way. But again, remember, they have tens of billions of dollars that were already sent to FEMA one day before Helene made landfall. So they have plenty of resources. And in fact, the administration, Secretary Mayorkas said himself, DHS, FEMA is a division of Homeland Security. He said just a few days ago on his telecast to the media that they have what they need right now.
And that $100 billion is a correct assessment that you made?
Well, look, that's my guesstimate.
Okay.
I was on the ground in the worst hit areas in Florida. I went where Helene made landfall. Whole communities are wiped out there. It's devastating. It goes all the way inland. The agricultural areas are devastated by it as well. And then you go up to the Carolinas, Tennessee, Georgia. It is a broad scope.
You are the Speaker of the House, which means you are one of the officials with some say about the security situation leading up to January 6th and election certification. Can you assure the country we will not see the violence that this country experienced in 2021? What are you doing to stop it?
Yes, I don't think we'll see anything like that. I certainly pray and hope that's true. There's a lot of great work that's been done at the federal, state, and local level to prevent the chaos that ensued after 2020, the COVID election year, when all the states were changing their laws and regulations without the legislatures approving that. That brought up constitutional questions. There were all sorts of concerns about fraud and irregularity and all those things. The good thing is, and I think everybody should be encouraged, that since that time, most of the state legislatures went to work to shore up their systems, to ensure that those kinds of things didn't happen in the future. And I think that that's going to give us a high degree of certainty and certainly hope that this will be a free and fair and legal election. Congress will follow the Constitution. I can guarantee you that. I've made a career of that. I've demonstrated it over and over and over throughout my life and as Speaker of the House. And we will take care of this so everybody can have a sense of certainty about that. Now look, there are members on both sides of the aisle who may object to slates of electors. That is commonplace now. In fact, Democrats have objected to slates of electors after every single Republican presidential victory this century. So there's nothing really irregular about that. And when people say that they've got to watch it closely, they're saying that they'll do their job. So but we're going to have the peaceful transition of power. Yeah, I believe President Trump's going to win, and this will be taken care of.
But back in 2020, you supported a legal challenge to the outcome of the election. The Supreme Court rejected that attempt to challenge it. Since then, the Electoral Count Reform Act has been passed. Are you certain that at the nation's capital, the lawmakers who you work with won't be challenging the outcome?
Look, we'll see what happens. I can just tell you that we're going to follow the law, and we'll ensure that our colleagues follow the law. The Electoral Count Act and the Constitution itself requires. The reason for the objection in the last election cycle in 2020 was what I referenced earlier, is that we had all sorts of changes to election laws in the states, and choosing electors, the mechanism by doing that under Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, says that only the state legislatures can choose those systems. So when elections officials and secretaries of state and some state court judges and whomever, the governors, when they changed their rules because of COVID, they did it in an unconstitutional manner. And that was an important legal question. The Supreme Court never addressed it because, remember, they just rejected all that on standing. But we're not relitigating what happened in 2020.
No,
we're talking
I'm not,
about 2024.
Exactly. And 62 legal challenges, as you know, failed with the Trump challenges to the outcome.
Yeah, but not on that basis. Margaret, wait a minute. Not on that basis. That legal question is, I think, objectively proven to be true. Obviously, everyone knows the legislatures weren't meeting in 2020 because of COVID. So it's Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2. Everybody Google it and read it. It says only the legislatures can make those rules. But look, I'm confident to tell you, I think this year, that's not an issue, right?
On the security picture at the nation's capital, what measures are you taking?
Yeah. Look, we have an all-hands-on-deck approach on this. The Capitol Police and the architect of the Capitol and everyone have done extraordinary measures. They've hardened the facilities around the building to prevent anything in the future from foreign terrorists or anyone else who might want to, try to invade the Capitol. Okay, that's taken care of. But I think the greater issue and the bigger story is that you've had really great work done in most of the states to shore up their systems and to make sure that we have a free and fair election. Now, look, as President Trump says all the time, and I agree, our side, what we say at the rallies, you've heard, is we've got to make it too big to rig. I think that's really important. I think there is going to be some cheating in this election. I think non-citizens are going to vote. Look, case in point,
you know that it is against the law
for
non-citizens to vote in federal elections. That's established law.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But here's the problem. There's a number of states that are not requiring proof of citizenship when illegals or non-citizens register to vote. We know that's happening.
But respectfully, Speaker,
everybody should want the law to be followed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Respectfully, Speaker, you both in the course of this interview said that you do believe that states have taken measures that will help the integrity of this election. And then you just also seem to undermine confidence in the integrity of those state elections.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. It's not me undermining it. It's the actions of the Biden-Harris administration in some of these states. Non-citizens are not allowed to vote under federal law.
So if your issue is with certain governors, shouldn't you be talking to them?
We have been. And the Republican governors have done heroic work. They've done their own audits of the voter rolls to try to ensure and do their best duty to make sure that this is a free, fair, and legal election. We're calling on all the governors to do the same thing, Democrat governors as well, and Democrat-led states in the legislatures. They need to do the same thing. A lot of good work has been done since 2020, but there's still questions out there.
Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, thank you for your time.